All right, top of the morning to everybody. Top of the morning to everybody. 8 a.m., November 1st, Friday, November 1st. Hopefully, everybody's getting ready for the weekend. Hopefully, everybody's got a lot of great things planned up for this week. I'm going to turn that volume down just a little bit. Obviously, not in the studio today. All right, so I'm out here remote. Listen, if I'm going to leave a Fortune 500 company to go independent on my own, I at least can have the option to do my damn show wherever the hell I want to do it from. Okay. So that obviously is what will be happening. I'm working on a banner here. When the banner comes, I get the right logo and everything else. It'll look a lot better. I appreciate you guys hanging out. All right, we got a lot to get into today. We got 100,000 people expected at this Dodgers parade. I'm going to actually go to Petco. Me personally, I'm going to go to Petco Park. I'm just going to go cry under the bleachers there while all that's going on. No big deal. Not a big deal. That loss didn't hurt against the Dodgers at all. I'll be at Petco Park if you guys need me. And then 100,000 people for the parade. There was a really, really cool article, and this actually takes me back to the series against the Padres, how a couple of quotes from Kobe really motivated this Dodgers team. So I want to spend some time on that. My guest, who's going to be coming on here in just a few minutes, Scott Geirman, who is part of Dodger Blue, who's going to actually be remote there at the parade a little bit later. He's going to come on in just a few minutes, so he's going to come join. Lakers at Raptors coming up tonight. I know, listen, I know how Laker fans feel. We're all the same way. Biggest game of the year. I mean, probably the biggest game Lakers have had in about 10 years, if I got to be honest with everybody. Lakers at Raptors. Does it get any bigger than this? RJ Barrett. We'll talk a little bit about these next couple of games for the Lakers. Really just kind of important to get off this 2-game losing streak that the Lakers have been on. Astley, I'm going to do today. I was supposed to do it on Wednesday. Just the show was too packed. So if you got any Astleys, throw them in. And then talk a little bit about what's going on this weekend from a sports perspective. And then we'll go from there. So thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being here. Grab your cup of coffee. Enjoy your Friday. We'll hang out for a solid hour. We'll talk some sports, and then you guys can get the hell out of here and do whatever the heck you guys do for the rest of the weekend. All right. So one quick thing to point out before I do bring the guest on. We're probably still going to be pretty heavy on the Dodgers today, at least for half of the show. And then after that, I'll start talking some other sports, and we'll get into to Lakers and everything else. Remote today, obviously, so not in the studio. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's get right into it. All right, first thing here. Somebody says, McDonald's iced coffee on deck. Brian, good work out of you. Yeah, get you a cup of coffee. Maybe you're a tea guy. If you're a tea guy, go get yourself a nice cup of tea. I can't do tea. I could do tea at night, but in the mornings, I got to have coffee. My mind doesn't it doesn't process anything without some coffee. All right, without further ado, I do want to welcome our guest today. Very, very nice to be hanging out here. I know,
yeah, buddy.
Yes. Scott Geirman, part of Dodger Blue, taking some time to join us. Scott, what's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning in.
No doubt, man. It's great to be here. It's been a whirlwind of a few weeks here.
Why? What happened?
Yeah. We'll be out. I'll be live. I'll be out at the parade. Just something that kind of completes a full circle for us here. After World Series in 2020, no parade there, and just a hell of a year this year. And I explained to a lot of the people on Dodger Blue on our live shows why this was kind of my favorite team.
Yeah, okay, let's start off with that. Give some of your, and again, for those. You've probably seen Scott here do a lot of work on Dodger Blue. We'll be at if I'm right, you're at the parade today, right?
I'll be there. Yes, I am going to head right after this. I'm going to head downtown.
Okay, so tell me why this Dodger team was maybe different to you, or why this was one of your more favorite teams, like you talked about. What are some of the characteristics of this team that kind of drew you towards that?
So what I can tell you is that mid-year, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, we understand all big name signings, things that you expect out of a team that makes a ton of money, spend a ton of money. They want to bring in all the best free agents, guys you can complete and you can market, and a lot of those things from a marketing aspect. And that you have to take that into account when bringing these guys in. But when you went to mid-year, I think a lot of the people that tuned into the Dodgers, myself included, I started to notice characteristics of a team, aside from the injuries, those happen, that weren't usual Dodger teams from the past. When you look at the Dodgers, you talk about the platoon options that are so consistent, that are very plus options, righties, lefties. You can go from there. You look in the past, like Jock Peterson, Kike Hernandez at different times. They didn't have those. They had injuries. Mookie Betts got injured. Just complete down performance at the bottom. So I started to see these characteristics where I was like, they have to address these. And the Dodgers were playing with a bench that was one of the worst I've ever seen. It was so top heavy of a lineup that you're like, how do you, at some point, this is going to catch up with them, right? And the pitching, of course, starting pitching depth got decimated. And then at the deadline, Alan, it was where they really had to do a lot of damage.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I'm just gonna say, I'll hop in for a quick second.
Yeah.
When they did what they did at the deadline, at the time, I mean, if I'd have told you Tommy Edman was going to do what he did, and Kopech was become such a key piece for the Dodgers,
Sure.
and Jack Flaherty, obviously, did he have some rough starts? Sure, but he also had some really, really good starts for the Dodgers in that postseason run, and even getting them to the 98 wins to have the best record in Major League Baseball. Did you think those moves would have? What did you, when the trade deadline ended, what was your thoughts? Was it like, yeah, I don't really feel like the Dodgers did all that much?
No, Alan, let me tell you, this is when I looked at the deadline, there were different live spots I've done throughout the year. At the beginning of the year, I spoke about how Teoscar Hernandez was going to be my X factor going into the year. That wasn't a call. That was that this is a guy that's like a mercenary type of bat that is unafraid to go in to the postseason or big spots and be a free swinger. Strikeouts are going to be there, but that's sometimes you need those type of guys. And a lineup that has so many patient hitters, and the Padres had a lot of those damn hitters, let me tell you. And like Teoscar Hernandez was one of those unafraid, right? And you insert him there, and you went towards the deadline. And it was that you need some consistent performers. So then Tommy Edman's name gets tossed around, and I've known about him for quite a few years, keeping tabs on him. Very versatile player, surefire glove. Michael Kopech just had the stuff to make it happen. You bring that in. Max Muncy's still hurt at the time, waiting for him to get in there. Yeah. So that few weeks span, myself and our managing editor, Blake Williams, was telling everybody to sit tight. On our shows, our Dodger Therapy Thursday night shows, we were saying everybody just have some patience, and that's hard. No sports fan wants to be patient when the Padres are wearing down, Diamondbacks are still doing their thing at that point. And it was just allow this Dodgers team to find their identity, because at that point, we really did not know. And I think a lot of people understand that. They were still winning games, but they didn't have like a consistent feel to it. It still felt a little bit messy. Talent was outweighing their fundamental baseball performance. You could feel it. If you paid attention, that was a thing. And then you started to notice it. And what's really great in full circle is that Max Muncy and the rest of the Dodgers players during this postseason run were very open about how they came together. A lot of, camaraderie there, cohesiveness happened when Tyler Glasnow went down. And that kind of fit the bill for what we really were expecting. It was really cool to hear them be open and speak about that. And that series the Dodgers had in Atlanta when Tyler Glasnow was announced he was done for the year, that's when I guess that rallying, moment really happened for them, that they were like, these are the guys that we have. This is what we're forging ahead with.
Yeah, it's funny. It almost feels like, and I think, how do I properly put this? I'm not, it's not disrespectful to the Dodgers, but usually when I think of the Dodgers, I think of talent. And I think of, yep, there's another star. Yep, there's another player that fits perfectly with that team. Or yep, it's like they're running this just Fortune 500 company, and everybody comes to work and they're clean shaven and the tie is set perfectly, and that's kind of what it is. But I felt like in the playoffs they started taking a little bit different of no, it's not just raw talent. And you know what? No. We're missing a lot of guys. And because we're missing a lot of guys, we can't just walk into a game and win the game because we have players that are just a lot better than the opposing team. I think fight is the right way to put it. I saw, and I think, look, I would believe a lot of Dodger fans feel the same way. It felt different this year for the Dodgers through that playoff run because there were a lot of times where they were behind, or there are a lot of times that maybe they're not expected to win a certain game because it's a bullpen game, or maybe they're down 2-1 in a series and they didn't just fold. Is that a right way to put it? Is that a right characteristic to say that it felt like this team had more fight than previous teams?
I would say that you're correct. You're correct from a sense that the fight that they had, we over on Dodger Blue, we called it relentlessness. This team was relentless. That yes, the talent was for sure there, and I'd be ridiculous to say that this was like a scrappy type of club because of the talent they have at the top: Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, the list, from that sense. But it was different that the theme continued from a little bit of a sense that going into the playoffs uh, in 2023, they had no consistent starting pitching, and that's why they bowed out in 3 games. And it was just, you could see it from a mile away that it was just a matter of time before something happened. And that matter of time was immediate. It was
Didn't take long.
Didn't take long, and it was painful for a lot of fans because that's 3 years running. It was against the Braves in 21, who went on to win a World Series with Freddie Freeman on that team. 22, Padres knocked him out in a fashion where Petco Park was booming to a point where it stuck with fans. It stuck with me, and sure, it stuck with the players. Like, that announced the Padres were right there. They were coming for it. In 2023, Diamondbacks knocked them out. Going into 2024 with the playoffs, it felt different because they didn't have 4 consistent starting pitching options. And we'll get into the Padres. And I really want to I was very vocal with the Padres at the deadline when we did our deadline show, giving them a ton of flowers and AJ Preller and how they prepared their team. And the moves felt different for that type of club. But with the Dodgers, they had, all you need to do is give me 2. You can take a 2019 Nationals approach and run your horses out there. If you have 3, that's fine. Just run them out as much as you can. And with the Dodgers, you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who at the point going in, you still had no clue what you were going to get. Jack Flaherty, as you mentioned, was going to give you something. And then he ended up giving you a mixed bag. And then you had Walker Buehler, who you had no clue. And if there were more consistent, healthy options, he might never have had a shot to turn it around, which is remarkable in itself. And then you had a bullpen that was awesome. And then the Dodgers used that bullpen in a game 4, say a game 4 set, to either wash away a game or pick them up when they needed it. So it was just different because you knew the offense was going to play, but how much was that pitching going to give you, and how much, leeway was that pitching going to do to give your offense enough time to battle? And they made it happen. And each playoff series was a storyline in itself and how they were going to navigate that. And it's just, I'll tell you right off the top, I wish that Padres series was a game 7 because you never know what would have happened over those last 2 games.
So I want to come back there. Bill Shaken had a good article on LA Times this morning that basically said the best rivalry in baseball now is the Dodgers and the Padres. And he was just basically making a case. I know it's been Yankees and Red Sox for years, but he made his case of why it's not that. And we'll get to that in a second. But you threw Walker Buehler's name in the mix. Yeah. How do Dodger fans right now? What's his legacy with the Los Angeles Dodgers? And I know he already had a great legacy before this playoff run, but for him to have the impact he did, and I talked about it yesterday on the show, I just thought it was so fitting that it was Walker Buehler. That, by the way, it made no sense. If I'd have told you that, yeah, game 5, Walker Buehler's coming in out of the bullpen to close out the game at Yankee Stadium, you would have said, my brother, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But it was Walker Buehler. I don't know if that's the last game he's ever pitched with the Dodgers, but walk me through just kind of what you thought the Dodgers were going to get out of Walker Buehler through the postseason, and then what actually happened with Walker Buehler in the postseason.
It's, Alan, it's one of those things in sports where it sounds wild to think about because at a certain point, Jeff Spiegel and we do a number of post-game shows, and mid-year with Walker Buehler, and he's such a confident guy and a very transparent, he's terrific in front of the camera. I love that he's analytically based. He's very upfront with his struggles. He'll talk about them. And he had a post-game, I think it might've been in June, late June. And I'm not sure the exact date, but he was very open and dejected. And it was something you wouldn't see out of a guy who is pitched on the biggest stage, coming through the Dodgers organization. Think about 2018, think about 2020, and the heart he gave and left it all in 2021. And when Max Scherzer declined to pitch in that postseason run there, and Walker Buehler went out and got shelled and then got hurt again, when going into this postseason, you were just hoping to get something out of him. And hearing Walker Buehler say all he lives for is, the big games. And when you hear a guy be upfront about that, you think of two things. You think, I sure hope he doesn't blow it. And two, he's going out and just saying this. This is all he's got. Like, this is an athlete putting that out on the line, that if this is all he's going to go out there for, he's going to give everything. And if he's going to get rocked, he's going to, lay it all out on the line. So with Walker Buehler, it was just give us something. And he goes out here and has a game where he has 18 whiffs, and he's just displaying a different type of fastball that made me think of Walker Buehler of old. He's going very, knuckle curve heavy. And it was a pure maturation of a pitcher that's in a different part of their career. 2 Tommy Johns in, trying to, in a contract year, which is very different, that you're going to, put yourself this thin. And you got one of a vintage performance that is reminiscent of, like, Oral Hershiser type of stuff in a postseason run, where you go out and make your regular starts and make yourself available, which I thought was just terrific. And it's going to have a lasting effect on me, Dodger fans, and I think fans around baseball that don't tuned in. You forgot Walker Buehler's name, but when you see these postseason moments, people just say, he's back here again. Like, he's back here again doing it in the postseason.
Do you think that's the last game he's pitched for the Dodgers?
I sure hope not. I don't see a world where it's like Clayton Kershaw to me. I don't see a world where Walker Buehler's in another spot, and he might be. He pitched himself into some money.
I think it would go more into that, right? Like, I think it would just more, if a team not makes an absurd offer, but they take care of Walker Buehler, and the Dodgers are so smart with their money. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you kind of expand on that, but it's an interesting dynamic going into the offseason.
I think with Walker is that my worry is there's enough unturned with this second part of his career and the metrics that are coming out about his new stuff, that a smart team like the Milwaukee Brewers, the Cleveland Guardians, the Tampa Rays, they'll figure out a way to bring him in-house if the Dodgers don't, which I don't see a world they don't. The Dodgers have all this data. They've got, this unit they've got working here, and all the pitching coordinators that are doing a hell of a job. And I don't think Walker Buehler wants to leave. He loves being a Dodger. That if he goes somewhere else, there's going to be a different part of his career that is even more successful than what we saw this year. Just, of course it is, but he's going to parlay this postseason stuff. I don't know if he's going to get like Jordan Montgomery numbers to the point where a team will pay for that, postseason success. I think it's kind of bad business to do that. Teams don't really do that much anymore unless you're a superstar projecting it out. But Walker Buehler will get, I would think, like a one with mutual option and allow him to make, a little bit more. But I don't see a world where Walker Buehler is not a Dodger, at least one that I want to be in. Like, he's a guy that likes being in this organization, means a lot to it. And the Dodgers, they take care of these guys that take care of them.
Yeah, it'll be that's an interesting one in the offseason, where if I told you 30 days ago that, hey, Walker Buehler, when this season ends, he's not going to be a Dodger, I don't know if that would have been a shock. But his performance, what he did in the playoffs. Okay, let's keep moving here. I'm curious to get your thoughts here, and it's one of my topics that I'm going to get into as the show goes on. But when the playoffs started, and you knew some of the challenges that the Dodgers had, and the question was going to be, like you mentioned, starting pitching, and Yamamoto, I think, had only made 4 starts since he had come back from his injury.
Correct.
And Buehler, you had no idea what he was going to give. I think there were questions. Jack Flaherty was supposed to be your 3rd best pitcher, not your ace starting off, the postseason, at least hypothetically. In a perfect world, that's how it would have been. Before the playoffs started, what did you think of the Dodgers? Did you think that they were still very dangerous and they can go on a run like this and actually cash in a World Series? Or did that not happen until you're out of the first round and you're looking and you're saying, okay, Philly's not there, it's now New York? The AL, I think it's clear that the AL wasn't as good as the NL. When did you start thinking, hey, I think the Dodgers can actually win a World Series? Did it start before the playoffs, or that wasn't the case?
It was the second they beat the San Diego Padres. Without a doubt, the Padres were the most, I'll say this right here, and I don't think it's a crazy take. The Padres were the most complete team on paper going into the postseason. Not even close. Not even close. They had the starting lineup. They had the starting pitching depth. And I think a storyline that is going to get lost is Musgrove's injury. That changes so many things. And that's something that gets lost on a lot of people here. But I believe the talent the Dodgers had, and might be a little bit of just being, I wouldn't say a fan and a homer, but I believed in so many of the holes that the Dodgers filled and finding roles for these guys. Michael Kopech steps into a prominent role. It solidified the bullpen there. It gave them that, another deployable weapon alongside Evan Phillips at the time, Alex Vesia, who's been, a terrific lefty. Strong bullpen. Offense was coming together. Freddie Freeman's injury, sure. But going into that National League Division Series, I believe that it was kind of the boogeyman on their back. 2 years prior, division opponents getting absolutely bounced, just dog ran out of the postseason after having regular season numbers that you say, yep, this is terrific. But I would say once the Dodgers beat the San Diego Padres and blanked them for however many innings, I think it was, 2 straight
just
after
24, just 24 innings.
Just
Yeah,
24.
it might have been 25, but who's counting?
It's just, yeah, like who could have seen that coming? And nobody, absolutely nobody. So once that happened, I would say then it kicked in. And I felt the Dodgers had a strong team, but once they got past the Padres, I was like, I don't see any other matchup that the Dodgers can't prep themselves for and game plan to 27 outs. And that streak continued into the Mets series. I think it ended up, BC and Chet puts up at 33. So until that first inning homer from Francisco Lindor in game 2, the Dodgers were on a run where I was like, even then, I didn't see anyone matching up with the Dodgers. And it clearly played out that way. And then we can, Alan, we can talk about Dave Roberts punting games and setting up their pitching, but that spoke again to the organization's, belief and what they even had working. So it was right when the Dodgers beat the Padres is when that happened. I believe I was like, I don't see anyone that can, stop this train.
It's funny when you said so I was at the game. Padres are taking on the Atlanta Braves in the wild card round. Musgrove's pitching. So that's the game 2 where Musgrove, there's a stop in action and Higashioka goes out to the mound and everyone's like, I wonder what's going on. And then he just obviously walks off the mound. It's kind of a weird thing. As somebody who grew up in San Diego, I've said this plenty of times. Obviously, I'm a Padres fan. But it was such a weird moment because Padres beat the Braves and it meant nothing. It was like, yeah, that's a devastating blow to the San Diego Padres. But then you start thinking of it, and let me use the Dodgers as an example. Gavin Stone, Tyler Glasnow. You go down the list of all these.
A lot of them.
Yeah, and right, and it's not even just this year. I mean, you can go Dustin May, you can go Tony Gonsolin, you could start naming all these players, and it's like, yeah, that's just kind of part of the game. And when that series started against the Dodgers, I think one of the question marks was going to be, okay, how was Yu Darvish going to pitch? Because now he's basically stepping into that number 3 role. It's only a 5-game set, so you don't need 4 starters. Darvish was incredible. Darvish was great.
Incredible.
My question to you is, and I've heard, and I've saw a lot of quotes. I mean, I've seen Freddie Freeman have a quote about the series against the Padres. I've seen Dave Roberts have a quote about the series against the Padres. I've seen some quotes out there that are basically like, the Dodgers were tested so early and challenged so early against the Padres. And in my opinion, I think the Padres lit a fuse. And I thought it was, and I said this right when the series was over, I thought the Padres played some checkers while the Dodgers started playing some chess when they were up 2-1. It started becoming more, we don't want to just beat the Dodgers. We want to rub their face in it. And as somebody that's like, just beat them. It doesn't matter how you beat them. Just get Padres, I felt like, started making it personal against the Dodgers. I thought the Padres woke up the Dodgers. And listen, whether that means the Padres don't score for the final 2 games, which is what happened, give the Dodgers all the credit in the world. But I think that's also the difference between, if you're looking at, you said the Padres were the most talented team, at least most complete team. It takes more than just that. Do you have experience? Are you mature enough? Are you making it more about ego? If you're trying to play that game with the Dodgers, there's no team in Major League Baseball that's got more experience than the Dodgers. I mean, you look around that roster, whether it's Walker Buehler, all the experience in the world, whether it's Clayton Kershaw, who could just sit there and talk from an experience perspective, whether it's Mookie and Freddie stacking up their World Series titles in other places, or Mookie in the one he got in 2020. they started playing a game with the Dodgers that I really thought was not a smart game. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that has something to do with it as well?
I think so too. I really do. I agree with you, and it's not taking away from what I believe the Padres have those type of thinkers, and they have those type of veterans in their locker room, in that clubhouse. It's just a matter of being in the moment, and I think fans always want these players to be emotional and upfront, outwardly emotional. And I think that works for some guys. It works for Manny Machado, rally and cry. That all works out. But that moment that happened in LA, a lot of the media narrative and the fan narrative shifted that the Padres are going to go in here and kind of punk the Dodgers, and this stuff happens. And the Dodgers do their best at keeping emotions in check. And Joel Sherman put out an article, post the World Series about how the Yankees scouting, or when the Dodgers were scouting the Yankees, a lot of it was that the Yankees, the talent outweighed the pure fundamentals of the New York Yankees. And I think the Dodgers in their advanced scouting, they do such a good job. There's so many guys behind the scenes, pitching coordinators, hitting coordinators, game plan coordinators, scouts, that when you saw it on full display this postseason. That run of consecutive scoreless innings goes well enough with the all-time stuff. So when you look at the Padres series, and just like you mentioned, towards the back half, you totally saw something click in. And I think just like to what you said, I a lot of credit there. The Dodgers kind of maybe caught on. They caught on right there. The fire got lit somewhere, and it was just that either the talent and the fundamentals lined up, but something overwhelmed the San Diego Padres and just kind of flooded them for the rest of the series. I love what you said there. Yeah, it lit a fuse for sure. And I called it battle tested. I didn't see any other team battle tested like the Dodgers there. That NLDS series is one that I've never seen a bigger 5-game set in all my time being a fan.
It's so easy to kind of skip around here, but I want to go back real quick to the World Series against the Yankees.
Yeah.
So Dodgers take on the Yankees, and I think coming in, I felt like game one. I know this is a little dramatic to say this. I felt like it was the series. I felt like once Freddie Freeman hit a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th, 3-2 game, bases loaded, 2 outs. It's not just did you lose, but it's how you lost. And
yeah.
But let's even fast forward. I say, all right, Yankees had some of their opportunities. I wasn't watching Yankees baseball all year, but the one thing I noticed in the World Series, Dodgers almost never make mistakes. And the Yankees, just sloppy baseball. And it's just kind of crazy to watch, whether we're talking about that 5th inning in game 5 or other moments where it felt like base questionable Aaron Boone calls when he's going, calling a certain player into the or from the bullpen. What did you think of Yankees Dodgers? How much of that was the Dodgers just purely being a better team? If they go out and play another 7-game set, they'll win in 5 or 6 games. How much do you also think that the Yankees just fundamental baseball was as ugly? I mean, literally plays that you're thinking of in spring training in March that the guys are working on. They were trying to figure out in the World Series.
So if I told you, Alan, that Shohei Ohtani goes 2 for 19 in the World Series and the Dodgers win that series 4-1, I think we'd be having a conversation that you'd say Dodgers lost that series, right? The Dodgers ran the table, against the New York Yankees 4-1. And I think the Dodgers didn't play their best baseball. The Yankees beat themselves for that. I think some worry crept in with fans when it was up 3-0. And then the Yankees in game 4 opened the floodgates and beat up on, I would say, the lowest tier of the arms the Dodgers put out there. And that's just how it happened. That was a part of the game. Going into the series, it was about, I believe that the Dodgers can match up with pitching after game 1 better than people expect. Everyone talked about the depth of the Yankees starting pitching. I didn't think it all outweighed what the Dodgers had. I felt the Dodgers bullpen, if they were going with the tier 1 guys of the bullpen, I was like, they can match up with anybody. I'm not, it's just going to flat out come out to who can hit. That's just how it is. The pitching, and I believe it's going to be there. The Yankees bullpen can match up. They've done a great job. Aaron Boone's done a great job deploying guys. I wasn't concerned from the pitching thing, and you saw it. The Yankees bullpen took care of the Dodgers for majority of the series up until game 5. So it was about, can you play within yourself? And you got to see that. And baseball's a ridiculous game. It rewards you. Dave Roberts said, you play the right way, you respect, you respect the game, the game's going to reward you. You play with it. And we got to see exactly what Joel Sherman, that article came out and said that the Yankees had made up in talent what they lacked in fundamentals. And it caught up with them. They got careless. Aaron Judge takes his eye off the ball. Anthony Volpe going to his right, throws to Jazz Chisholm, who's not a third baseman, boots the ball there. Garrett Cole doesn't cover first base on a spinner that goes to Anthony Rizzo, who stays back on a play that happened in the first inning. The same exact spinner off Mookie Betts' bat. They execute that play flawlessly. Later in the game, extends the inning, and the rest is history. Dodgers are World Series champions. So all of those worries that even, you saw, the lack of fundamentals, all blew up in the biggest game of, the 2024 New York Yankees, and cost them a chance at possibly, making history there. Because at that point, my thing was that Dodgers are up 3-0. No team's ever come back from 4-0, in a World Series. And no team's ever forced a game 6 after being down. And I was like, is this really going to be the one? It wasn't that time.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I think I listen to, a lot of times I like doing this, especially if I'm, covering a team or anything like that. I'll go listen to the other side. So I'll listen to a Yankee broadcaster, a Yankees radio station, and just kind of, okay, what's their perspective? And their perspective, I think, just to simplify it, they kept saying that, no, that is the Yankees. All year long, they would either they're hitting home runs or they're not hitting at all. And their fielding was eventually going to catch up to them. That they just played sloppy baseball. If you they gave the Dodgers 6 outs in that 5th inning. They gave them an extra inning. That's how somebody explained. Michael Kay, who does the broadcast for the Yankees, it was the best explanation I ever heard. He's like, imagine giving that lineup. Imagine saying, hey, we're going to get 9 innings, but you're going to get 10 innings. That's what the 5th inning was. The 5th inning for the Dodgers, it was set up for them. We're going to give you 6 outs. What can you do with it? And the Dodgers like, well, we're going to score 5 runs to tie the game. And that's exactly what they did. But I guess that was kind of that sloppy style of baseball that most people saw. And I know it was magnified and it was unbelievable that you had 3 errors in an inning. But I think it was not just magnified, but that's kind of what the Yankees were all season. That's not the Dodgers. Dodgers do all the little things. Dodgers, if they have, I mean, heck, when they went down 6-5, that was a perfect example. It was Kike getting a hit. It was Tommy Edman with an infield single. Obviously, the catcher interference, Shohei's on first. But what happened after all that? You had 2 flyouts that had 2 runs score from third, the sacrifice to even get the runner from second to third. Just the small little things that the Dodgers did. All of a sudden, they're up 7-6. They capitalized on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're spot on there. And that after that, Dodgers go down, and you say you got to manufacture a run. You got to make it happen here. Yankees bring in Tommy Kahnle, who's throwing an ungodly amount of changeups in a row, just doing it, and just flat out doesn't have the feel for it. Kike Hernandez stays on there, just like you said. Dodgers had an inning going, and Gavin Lux, who had worries. Like had people worrying. He did not look good at the plate. He was getting outside of himself. He was working at bats, but when he wasn't, when he was expanding for a not a very productive out. He was striking out. It was a rollover to second base, and he barrels, goes up, has change up here, right off the rip. Tommy Kahnle gets pulled from the game. Luke Weaver comes in, just firing fastballs, and he's overworked. Luke Weaver was put out there, and I know I heard a lot of Yankees people saying, if you're going to put your closer in, give him a scoreless inning. But baseball happens. And Gavin Lux puts up a 6-pitch at bat, gets a sacrifice fly, ties the game. Mookie Betts comes in. And this sacrifice fly from Mookie Betts was such a big deal for me, just because it capped off years of struggles for him, that he was just over. A lot of people were coming out, ripping on Mookie Betts, blaming other stuff here, getting really uncharacteristically, I would say, against, 50. Because he's been a pillar for the Dodgers since joining them in 2020. And then he goes up there and a chance to take the lead in the World Series, and he barrels up a first pitch fastball up and away, gives them the lead. And you see this fist pump from him right out of
Sure,
the box
sure.
because he knows he does his job. And that's the stuff, Alan, that I remember immediately. When I see those moments, I pick up on those little things. And I could only feel how he was feeling in that spot. Because just like you said, the Dodgers are going to do the things the right way. They're going to play that fundamental baseball. And I can't imagine how you give this team extra outs, especially in the biggest game when they know all the pressure is on the Yankees. And I thought it was ridiculous for the Yankees players to say, yeah, all the pressure is on the Dodgers to finish this out. You're up 3-1. You guys still have to even up the set. So it was just a bunch of noise for them. And I'm still thinking, like, how do you give them extra outs? And it just all played out perfectly in that game 5. The comeback, the collapse there, the poor fundamentals, the Dodgers going up there, and Teoscar Hernandez's swing in a 1-2 count to barrel something up and put it over Aaron Judge's head earlier in the game, tie it up. It's just so many things in one time, all perfectly came together for LA.
I got 2 final ones for you, and then I know you got to get the hell out of here because you got to join the other 99,999 Dodger fans that are going to be out in downtown. I'll be at Petco, by the way. If anybody needs me, I'll be under the bleachers at Petco.
Beautiful ballpark.
Yeah, I'll be lighting a candle. You're coming into the postseason, and I think everybody has different thoughts and emotion about Dave Roberts and his managerial style, and how much of it is just no. This is he's just kind of the middleman, but a lot of the front office are making the decisions, so forth and so forth.
Sure.
What were your thoughts before the playoffs started on Dave Roberts, and how much of it has it changed just because of this postseason run? I'm curious because a lot of people may say, "Oh, I always believed in Dave Roberts." Just what did you think of Dave Roberts before the playoffs, and then obviously where he's sitting now?
That he's going into it. This is thoughts going into it. The pulse was that Dave Roberts has been given the keys, all the tools to be successful, and he's navigated it. And that I even know, like, I'm a very rational person when it comes to Dave Roberts, and I know that managers to be at the helm and be the skipper of postseason successful teams. You win a title, you go to 3 World Series prior going into this, 2017, 2018. We of course know what happened with the Astros cheating there in 2017, 18 against the Red Sox, got blown out. 2020, you win a title in a shortened season. But being in the postseason for Dave Roberts so many times, of course, there's going to be, moments of good process, bad result. And that's just how things go. You have a plan, players got to execute. And at a certain point, Alan, you might think that perhaps if Dave Roberts doesn't go into this postseason after, having this third consecutive, or you can even say fourth consecutive year, making the postseason, being in a good spot, second year running of having, this bye week, and he doesn't perform and he doesn't bring this thing together, they might just have to make a change just from an aspect of, maybe a new voice. Maybe it's just a new voice. It will be the wrong move, but just from a sense of consistent failure for 4 straight years here, in the 3 in the first round, in the 2021 was the CS who they got dog walked, but 3 straight years of division series exits, you might, perhaps just need to make a change just for a voice. And I knew that it would have been the wrong move, but a lot of people just say you might need to just do something just to change it up. Just because the pulse of the staff, the pulse of the team and the fan base of Dave Roberts at the helm again for another letdown. I even knew, I want to make it clear, it would have been the wrong move to let Dave Roberts go regardless, because who are you going to get in there to manage a clubhouse with every expectation in the world? You step on, you join this team and it's immediate that it's a World Series or not, and it's a failure, and that's how it goes. But with Dave Roberts, he manages high salary, big high salary guys year in, year out, all the personalities. He allows these superstars to be, themselves. He doesn't involve himself too much there. He treats them like they're his own. He calls Mookie Betts his second son. Like, there's a relationship that we'll never understand. After the after the postseason, you want my thoughts with that?
Yeah.
Dave Roberts is one of the greatest managers of all time. He's up there with some of the best. Like, he's up there with, Joe Torre, Tony La Russa, and Bruce Bochy. 56 playoff wins, 2 World Series rings. He's a surefire Hall of Famer. He gets another in there, a couple World Series titles in there, more World Series wins here. Dave Roberts will be a first ballot, like, without a doubt.
That is, Scott, and it's I love the way you explained it because he was that close away from. I agree with you. I think sometimes you got to just make a change to make a change, and I know some people don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
If you keep doing the same thing and it's the same result, then sometimes you just have to make a change. He was one game away from that. One game away from that, and instead, you just the way you ended it was basically this guy is going to be able to sit there probably as long as he wants. Maybe
Yes.
something happens, maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe I'm a little dramatic when I say that, but I think there's a good chance he's probably going to sit in that Dodger seat for as long as he wants it. And now all of a sudden, you're comparing him with some of the other great managers to ever do it. This was missing. It's no longer missing. That 162 game World Series was missing, and now it's part of his resume and it's part of the Dodger resume. What are you expecting today? I think I've lived in Los Angeles for about 15 years.
Yeah.
I came up to I grew up obviously a big Laker fan, and most of my channel, everybody knows that. I came up in 2009. Lakers beat the Orlando Magic in the NBA Finals, and I came up for a parade, and I was there. They did it at the Coliseum. I think today is one of the biggest moments in Los Angeles sports history because this Dodger franchise is so popular. There's so much love for them from, obviously those who are from LA and even outside of Los Angeles. It's just it's a huge brand, but they haven't
Yeah.
had a parade since 1988. 1988, it's a long time. What
Long
does
time.
today mean for Dodger fans, and what do you expect today at that parade?
Elation, pure elation. I expect more emotion than I've ever seen out of Dodger fans. I expect, crowds I've never seen. Alan, I'm 31. I wasn't there for a lot of the glory days with stuff. The Tommy Lasorda days. I wasn't around. I lived a lot of my childhood was through the Frank McCourt era, begging that, Bobby Abreu having a resurgent year and, Todd Hollinsworth when I was a child, stuff like that. Like, it's been a long road and we've been spoiled as Dodger fans with the Guggenheim ownership. Make no mistake. But not having a parade in 2020 and the consistent years of letdowns and all these fans, new and old, coming together, the amount of messages that I get from older fans, about what we do and how important of a job it is, and we give them an outlet, that stuff is not lost on me. And I expect fans to be as proud of their team as ever. And I love what you said, that it's one of the biggest sports, moments for Dodger baseball in LA. Today's going to be a celebration. It's a huge thing. And in the eighth inning of that game 5, the plan in my mind started to come together. And I just want to wrap up with, as slippery of a slope it was for Dave Roberts of losing that one game against the Padres and perhaps his legacy being with done with the Dodgers and having to find something else. Walker Buehler thought he was going to be released mid-year, and he throws the final pitch and brings them home a title. And I think the storylines all coming together here for this 2024 World Series for the Dodgers is today, and them landing, being with this trophy, going through the streets of LA, being in front of all these fans that have been dying for a parade. It's going to be a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to be there.
Well, I know you're heading down there, so I appreciate the time. Thank you for doing this on a Friday. Great insight, great perspective. Thank you,
Great to be
Scott. I
here.
appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
All right, man. Thank you. All right, great stuff there from Scott. It's funny. It's the first time I've ever met him. He's fantastic. Really, really good stuff. Great insight. I'm sure, and I know probably a lot of Dodger fans know him and have followed him and everything else, but he was fantastic. Really, really good. Okay, let's keep going with the show. If there are any Padre fans that want to join me at Petco, I'll be at section 110. And I figure if we go under the bleachers, we light a couple candles, a couple incense, we hold hands with each other, and we sing Kumbaya. Um, you know, I think that's the right thing to do at this point. It's the right thing to do at this point. It's going to be absurd. 100,000 fans they're expecting in downtown Los Angeles. So obviously that's big time stuff right there. By the way, not surprised at all. And when I said this, and I don't think I'm being dramatic at all when I say it, when I say that I think it's one of the biggest moments in sports in LA sports history, they haven't had the Dodger brand is such a big brand, and they have not had a parade since 1988. And how they won this year and winning at Yankee Stadium, and a lot of, okay, well, how do you what kind of credit do you give to 2020? And everybody's just like, yeah, let them get a 162, and they got it. I think this is one of the bigger moments. And the thing that I talked about yesterday, what's scary about the Dodgers is they got the one, and they got it in Shohei's first year, and Shohei is not pitching, and they had a lot of starting pitching that was injured. And, the fact that things align the way they did this year for the Dodgers, that the Guggenheim group's only going to be more aggressive now. Andrew Friedman's only going to be more aggressive now. Dave Roberts has nothing to worry about when it comes to his job security. They're only going to become more dangerous. Okay. I want to get into something here real quick. There was a quote, and I'll do Lakers here in just a second, but Kobe motivation is one of my topics here. There was a really good article that was out today. Chuck Shilkin in the LA Times put out this article. It says, Dodgers use Kobe Bryant's job not finished quote in World Series run. Vanessa says they got it done. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I mentioned it too. There was, I forget who tweeted it out. It might have been Matt Moreno of Dodger Blue that tweeted it out. Somebody had tweeted out that in the Dodger clubhouse, when the Dodgers beat the Padres to tie the series up 2 apiece, and then they were going back to LA, their board inside of that, inside of the locker room or inside of the clubhouse for the Dodgers, there was a quote there. And the quote said, job not finished. And Vanessa Bryant posted something on Instagram on one of her stories. Job finished. She posted that on Wednesday night after the Dodgers beat the Yankees 7-6. But I don't know if you guys remember this. Kobe Bryant back in 2009, Lakers are in the NBA Finals. A reporter asked him why he didn't look happy. And the Lakers had taken a 2-0 lead. They're up against the Orlando Magic, best of 7 series. And Kobe said, job's not finished. Basically, what the hell would I be happy about? And the Dodgers used that quote. And I thought it was interesting. I think there's certain quotes out there, or there's certain, I really do believe this, and maybe this is just me. The fact that it is Kobe, and the fact that, there were times and some pretty cool footage of Kobe when he was at Dodger Stadium, extremely excited, rocking Dodger gear and everything else. I think that did have a motivation in the Dodgers. I really do. And if you believe in numerology and everything else, one of the things that Vanessa Bryant put out there, and I'm trying to find it here exactly because I want to make sure that I get it right. So here's what she said. She said, Kobe Bryant. Oh, this was the 24 portion of it. Vanessa Bryant displayed the phrase 8 in 24 in her Instagram story. And that was, how many World Series titles do the Dodgers have? They have 8 of them with this one. And they got it in 2024. So kind of interesting. I will say this. You guys do whatever you want with this as well. So when I'm putting the story together and I'm kind of reading this and everything else, I'm getting my thumbnail ready and I'm updating what episode this is. Today's the 24th episode of my show. However the hell you guys want to put it. But I always look at that stuff. I always kind of find that stuff a little fascinating, a little interesting. But that Kobe motivation, I actually feel like is real. I feel like that's real deal. And I remember even, listen, as a Padre fan, when I saw that quote in the clubhouse, I'm like, well, that's not good. That's not good. I believe in that stuff. I really do. I believe in that stuff. And if there's any individual that has any representation of Los Angeles, it is Kobe. And the fact that that's Kobe's quote, and the fact that the Dodgers were in that predicament, it's like, job's not finished. Yeah, I think there's something to that. Okay, the last thing I'm going to get into baseball wise, and we're gonna keep going here because I still got Ask Lee, and if you guys got some questions that you want to throw my way, supposed to be doing them on Wednesday. Wednesday was a little bit busy of a day. Sammy came on as well, so we were just kind of rolling. Was that Wednesday night? Yeah, that was before Game 5. But I'll answer a few Ask Lees here, and then real quick on what's going on predominantly in sports over the weekend as well. There was an article out there, Bill Shaken, I mentioned it. Baseball's best rivalry is no longer Yankees-Red Sox. It's Dodgers-Padres. And he just kind of walks into the article, and you listen there to how much Scott was saying that. And I've heard a lot of people say this, that once the Dodgers beat the Padres in that NLDS, that kind of set the table up for the Dodgers to go on the run that they went into. I don't know. I don't know if this is the best rivalry in baseball. Maybe it is. It's got the best storylines and everything else. But what the Dodgers have is they have 2 World Series in the last 4 years. The Padres have never won a World Series. So they can have some matchups against the Dodgers that are fun, that are exciting, that are chippy. But at the end of the day, I think in order for it to become a real rivalry, Padres got to do their part too. So Dodgers are playing with house money moving forward, in my opinion. I don't know how good the Padres are going to be next year. I know the matchups are fun. I think most of these matchups that the Padres and the Dodgers had this year were pretty competitive. They started out in South Korea against each other. I think Padres won the regular season matchup. Like that matters. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what you do in the postseason. But you know the Dodgers are going to be there every single year. You don't know if the Padres are going to be there every single year. So that's going to be the challenge and the question that I think comes with Padre fan or with the Padres organization down the road. All right, let's get a couple of these comments in. I've done an awful job of reading any of your quotes here. Sliwa, don't forget to mention that Kobe was a Dodger fan. Dodgers aren't just using Kobe as a motivational figure. Oh, no. That's not what I mean. What I mean when I say that, I forget what the predicament was in the game, but there's a really, really famous clip of Kobe at a Dodger game, and he's rocking the Dodger gear. And I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly happened, but he's going crazy. Somebody hit a home run. It was a big moment in the game, and Kobe was going crazy, and he was obviously, clearly a Dodger fan, and no question about it. This wasn't just a random quote from a random person. This was from Kobe. And Kobe was using it in 2009, but this wasn't a quote from some random player or some random, individual or something like that. It was Kobe and that connection with Kobe and obviously the Dodgers. All right, let's see what else we got here. Kobe said that because he had lost back-to-back finals in 2004 and 2008. Kobe said that because that was Kobe's mindset. Kobe said that because why the hell would I get excited up 2-0 when it's whoever gets to 4 games first? That's why Kobe said that. Kobe had enough experience, whether it was losing early in his career or it was winning 3 championships in a row, getting to 4 finals in 5 years. Kobe had enough experience where he'd kind of been there and done that. That's kind of the Dodgers too. A lot of these guys have been there and done that. A lot of these guys either won World Series with another team or won a World Series with the Dodgers in 2020 or went through all these losses with the Dodgers as well. So I think it all applied. All right, let's see what we got here. Padres aren't winning a World Series during the Ohtani Yamamoto era. I'll say this. I don't know how aggressive the Padres are going to continue to be, but they've been in the postseason 3 out of 5 years. All you can do is just try to get to the postseason, and then I think everybody knows anything can happen, especially in baseball if you just get in. And I think Dodgers are a good example of that. Dodgers, there's times you look at the sheet of paper and you're like, nobody's going to beat this team, and then somebody beats them. So do I think the Dodgers are only going to become more dangerous moving forward? Yes. But in baseball, just make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, everyone's got a shot. Okay, maybe some teams are going to have better odds than others, but if being in the postseason becomes more consistent from the Padres, then they will have a chance, whether it's in the Ohtani Yamamoto era or not, just because it's baseball. But do I agree with you that it's going to become more and more challenging? Sure. Dodgers are they're doing what they're doing. All right, let's see what else we got here. Get to a couple here, and then I want to talk Lakers here real quick. Dodgers won with only 60% of their pitching healthy. Look, they're going to become more and more scary. So, I mean, to simplify it, LAPD said they're expecting 100,000 fans, but I beg to differ. Could be more. Yeah, you might be right. Listen, like I said, and by the way, for I know 99.9% of those that are going to go attend this parade. Don't be a dumbass. You know, there's always a couple dumbasses, but don't be a dumbass. Great guest. I agree. I've never had a conversation with Scott before. Really, really good. So I'm looking forward to talking to him more down the road. All right, we got enough. We got enough stuff there. I want to talk Lakers here real quick. Lakers got a game coming up against the Toronto Raptors. If you got any ass sleaze, throw them in. I'll try to answer a couple of these, and then we could all enjoy our weekend. Lakers and the Toronto Raptors. Biggest game of the year. This might be the biggest game. Like, if you asked me, this is game 6 of the regular season. If you said, hey, Al, which game's more important? Dodgers, Yankees, game 5 of the World Series, or Lakers, Raptors, RJ Barrett, game 6? I'm personally going to go with Lakers, Raptors, game 6 of the regular season against RJ Barrett. That's my personal opinion. Couple things that I'm expecting here. Lakers got to win these next 2 games. They got 2 kind of gimmies coming up here. Toronto is, I think, basically playing basketball so that they can get a high draft pick. And I think that's all they care about at this point. But if you go to the NBA standings, the next 2 games that the Lakers have should be 2 layups for the Lakers. All right. They got the Toronto Raptors, who are, what are the Raptors here? They're 1-4. Scotty Barnes is not playing, who's their best player. And they got the Pistons coming up after that. They're 1-4. The Lakers are playing, the 2 teams they're playing right now are 2-8 total. Lakers are coming off 2 losses. I don't want to go back to the Cavs game, but the Lakers got ran against the Cavs. I hated the energy from the Lakers in that game against the Cavs. There was no fight. It was just a really bad game for the Lakers. Nothing to really be excited about by any stretch of the imagination. However, okay, it happens. It's an 82-game set. Can you please do me a favor tonight and on Monday night? Can you demolish the Toronto Raptors so we could all just kind of say, all right, hey, that 2-game losing streak is done? Can you demolish the Detroit Pistons so that we can now sit there and say, okay, hey, they're 2-2 on this road trip with 1 game left on the road trip against the Memphis Grizzlies, which will be a tough game. I think Memphis just right out the gate, much better team with Ja Morant there. But even the Grizzlies, they're 3-3. So it's not like Memphis is doing anything great. I just want to see the Lakers go back to at least stylistically what they did in those first 3 games. And even the 4th game against the Phoenix Suns. It was just more fight, just more effort. Defensively, the Lakers were so bad against the Cavs, giving up 130 plus or whatever they gave up. They gave up 42 points in the first quarter. But can you please kind of put yourself in a position where we're not sitting here coming back on Monday and we're bitching and complaining about the Lakers? Even a close game against the Raptors would make no sense. They don't have anybody, nor are they trying to compete, nor are they trying to win, because I'm sure they're more worried about getting a high draft pick than they are the 8th or 9th or 10th seed in that Eastern Conference. So for the Lakers, that's really the only thing that kind of sticks out to me coming into tonight's game. Handle your business. Make sure that the Toronto Raptors have no life in this game. We'll see what the Lakers can do on that front. I don't know if you guys saw this as well. Lakers declined 3rd-year option for Jalen Shifino. There's one reason why this means something. Lakers are declining 3rd-year rookie option on guard Jalen Shifino. This is coming on from Shams Charania, worth $4 million for next season. The move will make the 6'5" combo guard an unrestricted free agent in 2025 and creates roster flexibility for a Lakers team currently set to start next offseason over the salary cap. Shifino, 21, was selected at number 17. He's averaged 1.5 points, half a rebound over 21 games last season, has not played in the 2024-2025 season. This means 2 things. One, it means that the Lakers don't have interest and don't see a future in Jalen Shifino on this team. And number 2, it means you basically wasted your number 17 pick. So that's on that front office there. Number 17 picks got a lot of value in the first round. Number 17 picks you can use to go make trades for. That's good value at number 17. Problem with the Lakers is they used number 17. They drafted Jalen Shifino, and then they realized, yeah, this guy's not a player in the league. Or he's not a player with us. He can't properly develop. Lakers are trying to win right now, and it's really tough for players. But let me just use as an example. I know it's not the best example. Dalton Connect was also drafted at number 17. There are other players that are playing right now in the league that are having impact for other teams, and they were drafted after number 17. So that's on Rob Pelinka, and that's on the Lakers front office. They basically wasted a number 17 pick with Jalen Hood-Shifino. If Jalen Hood-Shifino was a promising player, had a good future, and we're all watching him and saying, hey, that's a good dude in this league, Lakers would not be declining that third-year rookie option. They're doing this because he's not a player that has impact, and unfortunately for the Lakers, they are straight up wasting that pick. They are. They're wasting that pick because and actions speak louder than words. So, let me put somebody saying good riddance, JHS. He's not an NBA player. We'll be in Europe within 5 years. You're not wrong, but I don't blame Jalen Hood-Shifino for that. I blame the Lakers for drafting Jalen Hood-Shifino. I mean, that's not on him. Yes, you want him to develop. You wish that he was a better player, all that stuff. But Jaime Jaquez went after Jalen Hood-Shifino. There's other players. I forget the dude's name right off the top of my head. Nice player with the Houston Rockets that instantly started having some impact for the Houston Rockets. That's on the front office. That's on the front office. That's the only thing that I could tell you. That's on the front office. Pelinka overrided draft team, and he chose JHS over Cam Johnson. It's Cam Johnson. That's actually the player. There are a lot of players that went after 17 that are more valuable. Listen, 17 that's a good pick in the NBA draft. 17 is a good place to be. And what I'm talking about is you can shop that pick. You can use it for somebody else. You kind of have a long-term plan with whatever pick that is, and you move on from there. That's on the Lakers for doing that. So that's on them. Thank goodness we got Connect at 17 this year so he can get 13 minutes a night from Redick. Connect's going to get opportunities because he's ready to play in the NBA. Jalen Hood-Shifino does not – there's nothing me watching Jalen Hood-Shifino that tells me that this guy's a player in the league. Maybe he'll go into a different situation and maybe down the road he's going to be some type of player in the league, but I didn't see it when he was with the Lakers. Cavs destroyed them. I expected a closer loss. Got to get some W's here. Why can't Lakers be more like the Dodgers? Management is the reason. Yeah, I will tell you that, honestly, the Dodgers right now are as well of an organization as any team in sports. To be in the playoffs every single year, to spend money also on the right players. Dodgers spend money, but for the most part, they're spending money on the right guys. I don't think anybody's looking at Mookie Betts and saying, "Oh, that contract's going to haunt them." No, he's pretty good. Freddie Freeman, oh, that 6-year 150, that wasn't a good. No, that's a pretty good investment. Even Shohei, the 700, I know he's 31 years old. That is a business / this guy also is an ace pitcher, so we'll see what he looks like next year. All right. Let me see here. See what else we got here. All right. Why are Lakers so inconsistent? I have no idea. These next couple of games get back on track. All right, Slee, will you be covering college basketball starting next week? Miss Molly, I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's much of a story. I do some stuff on another channel of mine. Not much, really more. I just kind of run it. But and that's more San Diego based. So maybe a little bit more San Diego State stuff there. But man, I don't feel like people get that into college basketball until further down the road. I'll get into San Diego State University, but I don't think this channel is going to be dying for some SDSU basketball. SDSU, Boise State tonight. Okay, there you go. All right, a little bit there. All right, let me get a couple more here, and then I got just real quick what's going on for the weekend, and we go from there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Where are you hanging out? Dodgers championship banner, 24 behind you. Also have you even fitted championship gear. Izzy, you are blocked. Izzy's gone. Izzy will never be on here again. I won't even tune in. I'm going to be a bitter Padres fan, and I'm not even going to I'm going to turn off I'm actually going, once this show ends, I'm going no internet for 3 days until Monday. No internet. I'm going off the grid. I'm taking Rookie and we're going out to Joshua Tree for 6 straight days. Nothing. Okay. Last thing I want to get into here. If you got any more Ask Sleaze, throw them in. If not, that's okay. Last thing I'm going to get into. So what's happening this weekend sports wise? I am not fully into the NFL yet. I can't do it. I will. I'll eventually get into it. The NFL is incredible. I love watching the NFL. It's just too early for me. And when you don't have a dog in the fight, because I don't have a dog in the fight, I used to have a dog in the fight. It was the Chargers. But when the dipshit Dean Spanos moved them out of San Diego, I no longer have a dog in the fight. But the only games that I was looking at that might be interesting coming up this weekend, what was the game? Lions, Packers, I'm all in. I'm all in. I actually like both of those teams. Lions, Packers, 125 on Fox coming up on Sunday. That's a good game. Rams, Seahawks. I always like that matchup, especially when it's in Seattle as well. That's always a good vibe there in Seattle. I think that's going to be a good game, so I'll definitely watch that one as well. Those are really the only 2 games that I saw on the schedule. Maybe Bears, Cardinals just a little bit because of the quarterback play, just kind of watching there. Other than that, there really isn't any good games on in the NFL. However, in college football, if you're a college football fan, damn, Ohio State, Penn State, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I don't know what the hell you guys are doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm watching Ohio State, Penn State, number 3 in the country versus number 4 in the country. The game is at Penn State. And then there was other Oregon, Michigan, maybe a little bit of that as well, even though Michigan is not ranked. And there was one other game, Pittsburgh, SMU, a 7-0 and a 7-1. Will I actually watch it? Maybe. It's at 5 o'clock at night, so maybe I'll watch that as well. All right, a couple more comments and we'll get the hell out of here. All right. See what you can still. No, I can't. No, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not happening. Stafford 4-0 versus Seattle with the Rams. All right, that should be a fun game. My people, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate you guys hanging out here for an hour plus on this Friday. Also, I appreciate you guys, kind of knowing too. Sometimes I'm going to be in studio. Sometimes I'm not going to be in studio. Thank you very much to Scott Geirman from Dodger Blue. He was fantastic. He was great. It was great to have him on. I actually really, really enjoyed my conversation with him. Great insight on baseball, great insight on the Dodgers. So we're going to have to do that again. I'm going to kind of I'll have certain guests that will be kind of repeat guests so you guys get to know these people as well. I'm working on some guests for next week. I got to figure out when I'm going to bring Michael on, Michael Thompson. Him and I were chatting a little bit yesterday. I told him, hey, I'd love to have you on. He's like, all right, just tell me when. Obviously, MT, I worked with for years doing the pregame with and everything else on the Laker broadcast. So we'll get some insight from Michael coming up here soon. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope you guys have a great, great weekend on this Friday. Be safe, chill, relax. Good sports coming on this weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning at 8 a.m. If you're a ridiculous diehard Laker fan, tonight after Lakers and the Raptors, you bet your ass we're going to do a post-game show on here. So I'll be back tonight doing some post-game of the Lakers and the Toronto Raptors. Thank you very much for hanging out. Hope you guys have a good weekend. We'll get back with you tonight, or we'll get back with you on Monday at 8 a.m. Have a great rest.